Y'all, I have got to tell you something before I start this next video. And I've got something to say to those Canadians out there who have commented on my last 2 videos. I just pulled in to stop for the night and had a Wi-Fi signal and stopped to check my comments. Now, the video before this one, I've already uploaded and I have it scheduled to post. So it was the video before last that I'm talking about. It was the first video where I entered Canada. I'm blown away by the comments from Canadians on that video. You all make me feel so welcome here and so at ease that I just don't want to leave. Really, I'm near tears right now. I just want to cry. I'm so happy. You guys, you are the nicest people. And I want you to know, I feel like I have thousands of friends all over Canada cheering me on now. And I want you to know how much that means to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. And let's move on to this next video. In my last video, I had just hiked the Skyline Trail in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, and I have now settled into a campground in Chetty Camp for the evening. Another really great campsite. And I'm so tired from that hike today, I don't even know if I'm going to make it until sunset. Oh, I didn't know I was recording. The sun is hurting my eyes. So this is a journey of self-discovery. And I've discovered that I do like to be a bit feral. The farther I get from society's expectations, the happier I am. But also, I think I do. So I started this trip just winging it and stopping wherever I was for the night and finding a place to park and sleep. And I think that's part of what made me feel in the beginning kind of scattered. And it happened last year too on that trip. I think I do better with it just 24 hours ahead, just planning 24 hours ahead. The last several nights, basically ever since I got to Nova Scotia, I have stayed in a campground every night. I haven't been stealth camping in Nova Scotia, and I think there's plenty of opportunity, but I have found that I enjoy my day better and more when I have a plan for where I'm going to be that night. In the beginning, I started my trip, trying to stealth as much as possible, which is great, and a lot of people do that, and I will continue to do that. But I was trying to save my money, save my budget for when I got to Cape Breton for things like whale watching and lobster dinners. But I think I need to budget. The next trip and going forward for these long trips, I should budget for more campgrounds. I don't need a hotel, and I don't need I don't need even a motel with no air conditioning like I had in New Brunswick. That's nice, but I don't need that. I just need a place where I can be. I can open my doors and take the things out of my car and spread out and not feel like I'm hiding or like I'm not supposed to be there. So as long as the campground has a bathhouse, even if it doesn't, gosh, even if it is just a state park with a pit toilet, but I have a site that is mine where I'm not breaking any rules by being there. I mean, even when I stay in a Walmart that allows overnight stays, I'm not breaking rules there either. But I know that not everybody there is doing the same thing I am, and I don't want to stand out. So I'm stealth, quiet. I stay very inconspicuous. And I like the campground. I think having the campgrounds and just knowing that when I get there, I have a spot. In Meat Cove, I could not make a reservation. It was first come, first serve, and that was fine. It worked out. But most of the time I've been making a reservation early in the day for where I want to go that night. And then I found myself being a lot more carefree that way. I've been watching travel videos and van life videos for years. I started in 2019, I think. I started watching van life videos in 2019 when I started dreaming of escaping the rat race. And that was the year, in October of that year, that I bought my minivan, my first minivan. I bought it for the purpose of camping in it and stealth camping in it. And I outfitted it, and then I went on a month-long trip to Florida in February of 2020. And then we know what happened. COVID happened. I don't want to revisit my whole history, but I've been doing some sort of this kind of solo road tripping since then. And each year, I think my trips are getting a little more ambitious. And now I don't have the van anymore. I'm in a Prius. And she is a trusty little car. She's very dirty, and I don't really want to give her a bath because I kind of want to roll back up into town when I get home with dust and dirt just dripping off of her and say, wow, what a ride. Now, as promised, it is time for the whale watching excursion that I have booked for today. Wah, wah, wah. No whales. But it was a fun trip nonetheless. It was a rough ride. We went way off the coast or way down the coast. And it was windy and bumpy. But I didn't get wet. My hat didn't blow off. And I met some nice people. I was the only American on the boat. There were only 9 of us. So pretty intimate. Right there, an experience. It was an experience. So I determined that I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave Nova Scotia. But I'm going to have to leave. I have to go back to work in a few weeks. But, I told you I moved to my ferry reservation. I had it on towards the end of July, and I moved it up a few days so that I didn't have to wait that long. And now I'm thinking about moving it back out some because I kind of feel like I want to stay here a little longer, and I've got time. We'll see what happens with that. When I checked availability before, there was room on the ferry every day. So I think if I want to move my ferry reservation out a couple more days, it shouldn't be a problem. And I don't have to make that decision for 3 more days, I think. So I'm still in Shetty Camp. Just got done with the whale watching tour, and I'm done with the Cabot Trail, but I'm thinking about going back up north a bit, back to Pleasant Bay, just to see that scenery again, maybe to find another place to have a lobster. Last night in Shetty Camp, the lobster dinners here were like $25 more than they were elsewhere that I had a lobster. So this is a really cool little touristy resort type place with a lot of French influence, but it seems like the prices are a little bit higher. I could totally see myself coming here though and renting a place and spending a summer. I kind of love it. That white Jeep right there, I just met some folks from Florida. They drove further than I did. There are really not very many United States license plates anywhere. They said the same thing. They hadn't really seen any. Anyway, let's go see what we can get up to. I might drive back up the coast a bit. So I've just left Chetty Camp, and shortly I will be leaving the Cabot Trail, and I got a couple-hour drive to Sydney, which is where I've decided to go next. Still on Cape Breton, but on the other side. I told you before that I've had this intrigue with Nova Scotia for many years, and I think probably even from back when I was a little girl, and I used to just look at the world atlas for fun because I was that kind of nerd, and seeing how there's this land off on the very edge of Canada, way up north, the name Nova Scotia meaning New Scotland, but I really didn't know much about it other than when I read about Nova Scotia, it was the Maritimes, it was the ocean playground, it was seafarers and fishing villages and lighthouses and mountains and that kind of thing. And I don't really remember it's been within the last year that I really learned about Cape Breton and the Highlands and the Cabot Trail. Because honestly, I was planning my summer trip for this year to be the Michigan Upper Peninsula. That was going to be my trip this year, and possibly a loop around Lake Superior, which would take me into Canada. But I had not planned on Nova Scotia until a few months ago, maybe even 3 or 4 months ago. I completely changed direction and went from planning a Upper Peninsula of Michigan tour to I'm going to Nova Scotia. And I'm going to the Cape Breton Highlands. So that's really been new, and I think I probably saw it on YouTube. I have a few channels. I'm not a tour channel, so I'm not a travel channel. I love taking you along on my journey as a midlife solo woman who's driving herself in all these kinds of different places, and this time in a small car on a budget and winging it pretty much. Not a lot of plans, not a huge budget, not a partner, not an RV, not even a van anymore. And all of my anxieties and my challenges and my successes and my delights, all the things that I see along the way, that's what I want to share with you. But there have been some channels that have kind of shaped my ideas about where I wanted to go and where I do want to go in the future. And I'm going to just post some links down in the description for some of the channels that I have followed that have really given me ideas on where to go. Like coming to Nova Scotia, and having a list of places that I knew I wanted to stop. That didn't just come out of nowhere. I usually get that. I get those things from YouTube, from these creators and these travel vloggers, and I just wanted to share that with you so you can check them out. If you want more in-depth information on the actual travel part of it, then these guys are excellent. But with that, I'm just going to keep driving for a couple of hours. There's a wind advisory on this highway. I'm still seeing some really pretty views out of my window. I'm still driving along the coast for a short period, and then I'll be turning inland and heading east across to the other side of Cape Breton, probably to the Fort of Louisburg tomorrow. I had that on my plan as a tentative stop, and then I had kind of decided not to do it. But today on the whale watching tour, I met a delightful older couple, Frank and Joanne from Alberta, and they had been to the fortress and talked about all the history. And I realized I don't know that much Canadian history. I grew up in the United States, and we learned U.S. history, and we learned some world history, which did not include Canada. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, I think, as long as the weather is not completely horrible. And that should be fun. That'll be the next thing. Alrighty. Well, my first rainy day of the whole trip, honestly. I am in Sydney, still on Cape Breton. I had planned on going to the fortress at Louisburg today, especially since it seems that I really need to learn some Canadian history. But I understand it's mostly best experienced outdoors, or maybe only can be experienced outdoors. So I just think I have to scratch that. I will, however, most likely be back. And I'm kind of wishing now that I had planned for Prince Edward Island and also Newfoundland. There is a ferry to Newfoundland from right around this area, but you have to book it way in advance, and it would take me an extra few days to take that ferry and see any kind of real stuff in Newfoundland. So I'm not prepared for that, but I can imagine that a trip to Atlantic Canada might become a regular thing for me, if not every year, every other year maybe, I don't know. But I feel like I have a lot left here to explore, not just in Nova Scotia, but back in New Brunswick. I think that in hindsight, I'm glad that I've been, by visiting Vermont, and then if I hit Rhode Island on the way home, I will have gone to the two states that I was lacking on the East Coast. I think I'm up to like 40 states now that I have visited, and now all the remaining states I haven't visited are Alaska, Hawaii, and then 8 in the north and northwest. Before, I had been to New England, but I had not been through Vermont, and I had driven around Rhode Island. So by the end of this trip, I'll have those two, and that's good. But in hindsight, I don't want to say I wish I hadn't gone to Vermont. I enjoyed Vermont. But in the future, I will probably just head straight for Canada when I decide to do a northeast Atlantic road trip. And there will be another trip. And the next time, I'm going to plan on Prince Edward Island and taking the ferry to Newfoundland. So today, since it's raining and gray and dreary, and it's supposed to be like this all day, I think I'm just going to drive. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave Cape Breton today. I have 3 days until my ferry reservation, and I'm still toying with the idea of bumping it out another couple of days and giving myself another 5 days, because when I got to Nova Scotia, I came straight to Cape Breton. I drove the Sunrise Trail, Northumberland coast, and I went straight to Cape Breton. So I have not been to Halifax, which I'm not really into the big city thing, but I need to at least drive through there. So Cape Breton, there's a lot up here, and there's so much more of Nova Scotia that I haven't seen. I could spend several more weeks here. I would be happy. I'm starting to think about work, and in another less than a month, I'll be back at work. The next semester will be starting, and I'm starting to think about that already. There's now this pull for me to go ahead and get home so that I can rest up, prepare, take a couple of weeks to kind of recover from my trip and get ready to go back to work. And maybe I'll start thinking about next summer's road trip. Goodbye. It is really getting dark. Really getting dark right now. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's getting dark. The farther I go, the darker it gets. Oh, this is heavy. This is heavy, heavy fog. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room. So after I left the Cabot Trail, I thought I would go over to the Fortress of Louisbourg. So I drove over to Sydney, and I spent the night in the Walmart parking lot, which I don't normally do, but I think I've done that twice on this trip. The first time was when I told you in a previous video that I had felt sick. I was really tired, and I pulled over and slept for 10 hours. Well, that was a Walmart. That was the Walmart in Moncton, New Brunswick. And the reviews online were mixed for there's 2 Walmarts in Sydney. But I went over there, checked it out, and it seemed okay. And honestly, it was fine. It was after about 11 o'clock. It was really quiet, and that's how late I stay up anyway. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with the area or that it was unlevel or noisy or any of that. I just kind of tossed and turned, I guess, thinking about what I'm going to do from here. So I didn't sleep that great, and then early in the morning, people started showing up and just parking all around me. It was like a bunch of people carpooling to work, I think, and they all parked over there and got together and left together. So I didn't sleep that long. I mean, I was up till close to midnight. Honestly, wasting time looking at YouTube videos and looking on, looking at maps and analyzing where I wanted to go, that kind of thing. And then I woke up early, so I didn't sleep that much. And then I woke up, and it was okay. It was kind of dreary out. I went around the corner to a really nice coffee shop and had a delicious it was cranberry scone and some really good coffee. And then I got back out to the car, and it started raining. I still have so many spots on my map in mainland Nova Scotia that I wanted to visit. So I didn't want to wait around there for another day. So I went ahead and went back to the mainland. I drove back around the other side of Cape Breton, and I left Cape Breton today. But, I got back to the Antigonish area, and then being tired hit me, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted to do the South Coast, Halifax, Peggy's Cove, Lunenburg, or whether I wanted to do the Annapolis Valley, because I have spots marked on both sides. And looking at my ferry reservation, I thought I need to pick one side or the other and head that way. And I just can't decide right now. I sat still around Antigonish for, I guess that's how you're saying it, how I'm supposed to say it. I sat there, I went and got gas, and I sat there for almost 2 hours trying to plan it, look at my itinerary, look at my phone, the map on my phone, trying to figure out which way I wanted to go. And then I was like, I'm just tired. I'm going to find a hotel And I'm going to find one that's going to give me options. So tomorrow morning, whatever I decide tonight, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be able to go either way. So I got a hotel in Truro, I think is how you say it. And that's where I am right now. So what I decided was that I'm going to do both. I just bumped my ferry reservation out another few days to give me some more time in Nova Scotia. And that's going to give me less time on the New England coast on the way back. And I'm okay with that because I can go to New England anytime. It's not that far. I can be in Connecticut in 8 hours from my house. I can be in Rhode Island in 12 hours. I can be in Maine in like 14, 16 hours. That does not seem like such a long way anymore. After going all the way from North Carolina to Meat Cove, Nova Scotia, in a Prius. So anyway, I digress. I'm going to do both. I pushed my ferry reservation out a little farther. So the plan is, and I sent it to myself so that I don't keep giving myself whiplash with my changing my plans, which is probably what I'm doing to you. Tomorrow I'm going to, and I don't know what the weather's going to do. I haven't looked, and I hope it works out for me. But tomorrow I am heading to Burnt Coat Head because that's the closest to me, and that's a Bay of Fundy provincial park, I believe it is, where I can see the other side and, go back and visit the tides and all that. From there, I plan to... Okay, I had to stop and look at my list. I'm glad I wrote it down. Tomorrow, Burnt Coat Head. I'm going to go from there to Peggy's Cove and then Lunenburg. I'm going to have to drive kind of around Halifax. But as I said before, I'm not feeling the big city vibe this time. I don't really like cities anymore anyway. The older I get, the less I like cities. So I'm going to be back to Nova Scotia eventually, and I'll probably fly at some point, and I'll see Halifax then. I'm going to skip Halifax. Peggy's Cove, Lunenburg. And then I'm going back across Nova Scotia to Wolfville and that side. Then I'm going to drive down the Annapolis Valley to Annapolis Royal, where one of my viewers a while back told me about these beautiful historic gardens, and I'm going to go see those. From there, I'll go to Yarmouth, and then I'll take the ferry to Bar Harbor. And at that point, I'm probably going to be ready to go home, although I'm going to spend some time in Acadia because, hey, while I'm there, I might as well see it. I got 3 things in Acadia that it might take me one day to see, and then I'm going home. So we made it to Burnt Coat Head Park the next morning, and this is the home of the highest tides in the world, apparently. There is a lighthouse, and there's a path that takes you down to the ocean floor. I did arrive at about an hour and a half after high tide, so the tide is on the way out. I imagine when it's low, there's a whole lot more to explore here, but it was pretty cool. I walked down and checked out the ocean floor. It was a bit muddy, and there were quite a few people down there. Now, we're just about at 30 minutes on this video, so I'm going to end it here. In the next video, you're going to want to follow along while I travel down the Annapolis Valley and also explore the south shore of Nova Scotia on my way to Yarmouth and the ferry back to Bar Harbor. Thank you so much for following me on my adventure to Nova Scotia, and I will see you in the next one.